And we are live. Looks like my mic levels are okay. Thanks for dropping by. It's caught me checking out my situation this morning. Lots of games to go over and lots of things to talk about, land related and otherwise. Thanks for dropping by, Gathering. Appreciate it as always. Have to take a look at your land strategy. Obviously our well, I don't want to say for everybody, but my main focus has been on land for a long time. I did come up with an idea about that I want to start a new series because one of my weak points is actually playing the game. And I like to get into strategy and such. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a series that maybe once a week or twice a week, something like that, and have people submit battles to me. Send me a battle. Send me your favorite battle of the week. And not just because you won, but because there was a strategy you employed. Whereas you can go through and send me the battle and tell me this is what I did here and this is why it worked. Because obviously I want to get better, but I would also like to focus and go through and review it and put it out there so we can all get better, right? I came up with this idea as my brother had sent me a couple battles he did, and he was focused on one thing of the battle, this nice, I think it was a desert dragon he bought, and it really stomped through. It was a really good card, but that wasn't the main focus of the battle. I found another strategy that I think really kind of took the battle for him, and not just a desert dragon. So I came up with the idea. So let me know what you think about that, and I'll do another video about that, but I just wanted to throw that out there. VT Mac Guru, welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Good morning. Just getting the discussion started. We can take a look at the town hall, but I've already done a video about it, but I kind of use the town hall notes to kind of lead our conversation. But the conversation can go just about anywhere we want as long as it is gaming related. I'm good with it. So we can kind of keep a format here. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about land. Gathering said he's just now getting ready to put out a video on his new strategy for putting out playing two magical plots. I've talked about my basic strategy before in several videos. I actually sold off a plot of land and I am down to 9 plots. However, I'm keeping an eye on 2 particular regions where I want to buy and get that 10th plot. Something in my brain is like, you just can't sit at 9. You got to be at 10. I don't know. It's I don't want to call it OCD, but I like round numbers. But we've talked about, and everybody seems to be talking about what their strategy is on land. I've had to kind of scale back. The People's Guild is in the house. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate it. We're talking all things Splinterlands and basically stuff on the Hive blockchain. We've got several different games we can talk about. The People's Guild says, not often. I'm up late enough to catch your stand-up. So I'm taking it you're in the other side of the world from us. Welcome and thanks for dropping by. I've started off in the morning, kind of early afternoon, early morning here. I'm open for changing time slots if everybody puts an opinion in and says maybe I should change it to a different time. I'm open to that. I'm open to anywhere where I would get obviously the more people that stop by, the more opinions are expressed and the better and easier the conversation flow is, and we can all hopefully take something away from it. The Chuny, thanks for dropping by. Good morning. Was there another change to Golem Overlord? Something about claiming part. I did not see that. I will have to put that on my notes to go check. And possibly do a little video on that. I usually check the Discord under the announcements, but not that I'm aware of. In fact, I just did my claim. I did a few attacks right before this video started and I did my claim. I didn't really notice anything different, but I'll check into it and report if there is. The People's Guild says, hey now, tuning in the house. Yes, sir. Gathering goes on. I said, I need so much DEC. Dwayne made a great video on why you want all the time crystals you can get. I agree, and you can use them to earn SPS and even 1 BCX on a land plot as soon as 1.5 launches. I watched a few of his videos this week. I don't think I caught that one. But as you know, I put out a few videos that went on about time crystals, and I do agree right off the bat. And I like the fact that, and I hope, they haven't said anything lately, but it's in the white paper, and he did say that it should be live at 1.5, that we should be able to, even if you didn't get the time crystal package, you should be able to burn the DEC to get the time crystals from your local castle. So I did a video on that, and I expressed, what I felt like, right off the bat, with the cost of time crystals being equal to what the grain costs, right? The 1 DEC per grain, the cost is equal. It's a win-win. Now, and you're going to be able to get up and get going faster without that wait time, right? But as time goes along and the general cost of grain goes down as more people are putting it on the market, then it's another thing where you've got to think about it. So say, for instance, if grain comes down to, I don't know, a third of a DEC, then you say, well, do I want to do time crystals and get up and rolling fast, or do I want to wait it out? Now, obviously, I think we all know, and I think Dwayne talked about it and a few other people talked about it in their videos, that with these big changes in cryptocurrencies, we all know, especially when a game starts, a new thing starts, those people that get in at the beginning usually stand a chance to earn the most, and then kind of what you earn just goes kind of down over time. Hopefully it doesn't go down too far, but we all know how the charts go. So I think right off, if you're playing land, time crystals is the way to go, and you should plan out for it. I've planned out for it. I had to buy a lot of DEC, and you've probably seen my video. Hopefully if you watch the video, I planned for 10 plots. Currently I'm at 9. Like I said, I'm looking for that 10th one. I think I want to pick up a rare in the 2 regions that I'm in currently, and I'd be happy with that. And I've discussed my strategy before. If you haven't heard my strategy, go ahead and check out the video on my channel. But basically, I'm going to try to stay even. I don't want to have to buy grain off of the market at 1 DEC per, right? I want to be able to be self-sufficient. So whenever I lay out my lands and whenever I stake my lands, I'm going to have I do have a couple magic, so I'm going to have them doing the research. I'm going to do 2 or 3 mining SPS, and then the rest is going to be averaging out by growing grain to support them all. So likely, and I've been thinking about this a lot, likely my grain lands will have to be staked a little bit better with better cards, with totems, to average a little bit higher, because I don't think, they've been talking about this in Discord, that while one land will produce almost enough grain for 2 lands, I don't think it's going to quite be that much. So I think if you're going in it from this, like I'm doing it, you're going to have to overstake your grain a little bit more, at least at the beginning, until the cost of grain starts to go down, and then you can make the decision, or I'm just telling you my strategy. Then I can make a decision whether I want to go ahead and take a couple of those lands off of growing grain and then put them towards something else like SPS, something like that. And then it's all going to be fluctuation. It's going to be the market, and that's part of the land game, quote unquote land game, right? It's seeing what's on the market, what's drawing a good profit, what's not. And always being aware that whenever you change that staking on your land, you're going to incur a harvest and what that entails. the taxes and also having to pony up the food to make the harvest or lose part of it, right? So, okay. I've been talking a lot. Let me catch up with chat. Let me see here. The People's Guild says you got it. I'm 12 hours ahead for you out here in Taiwan. Oh, well, welcome. Yes, I work with on a daily basis with people around the world, so I can commiserate. But thanks for dropping by. Thanks for stopping by. In fact, next week I'll be up late working with some guys in India on a project at work. So I know how these time differences go. I do appreciate your time, though. Let me see here. Not often trying to catch up. And the People's Guild goes on to say, and tune 24-hour claim limits. Gathering, once you can claim once per 24 hours at this point, right? And at least once a week. So you can draw it out longer if you want. And I started thinking about that a little bit, and I was thinking that, with the taxes involved and stuff like that, I'm sure there's going to be kind of like this good strategy where you don't want to claim too often. I'm just wondering if there's going to be, I don't want to call it a penalty, but if you're going to end up paying more for claiming more often, you know what I mean? Instead of, stretching it out a little bit. And obviously that will be until 2.0 comes out or at whatever point they put the land storage idea into work. And then at that point, it's going to be much like, I want to reference like Golem Overlord, where you can make your claim time shorter or longer. That kind of idea, and what that entails. So let's go ahead and catch up. Gathering says they did change something about claiming in Golem Overlord. I think it was to discourage people who don't play or claim regularly. I'll have to look into that. I don't have a thought on that. I do know people stretch out their claim to increase their odds for better odds for getting shards. That's about all I know. But I'll put it in one of the next videos after I look into it. Gathering goes on to say 100 DEC per time crystal. Each crystal is 10,000 points. Yeah, that's correct. As far as what the white paper says, if they change it, who knows? But that's the number that I use to factor out how much time crystals I'm going to need to buy right off. I plan to have all my lands going day one because my prior statement, usually the people that get in at the beginning stand to make the most. Keep in mind, though, that grain cost. I keep going back to it, but it's going to kill some people, and I think it's going to sneak up on some people and catch them. They're going to go in and start staking all their land and making SPS. A lot of people are talking about that, but a lot of people are not talking about what you have to subtract. Yeah, your land's going to make SPS, but on the backside, you're going to have to be paying for that grain on a daily basis, which could be 2, 3, 4, 5. If you've got a lot of lands, $10 to $100 a day. Do you have that? I don't. I mean, I've got it, but I don't want to put it towards that. So that's why my self-sufficiency idea comes in. So the Chuny says, what is the grain to plot ratio? We were talking and think it's 2 plots making grain for plots making other tokens. Is that how you see the numbers? Yes, I see that. But when you start talking taxes and other things, I think that 1 plot will make slightly less than enough for 2 plots. That's why my idea is to stake my grain producing plots better than my other ones. So I may take a land that is doing magic research and maybe not put a totem on it, and then put a totem on the. Basically, I think you're going to want 10 to 20% more grain production than what the other land is making. Because I think that if you don't, you're going to fall behind, and you're going to have to make a small buy per day, or how often you claim to make up the difference. Now, if that's fine with you, hey, great. Just factor it into your strategy, right? A lot of points to consider here. I just want to be, I would rather have a little bit more grain and start accumulating it and throwing it on the market to sell than not enough, right? That's just my take on it. Okay, let's see here. The Chuny says, can one use base PP to clear plots? No bonuses allowed. Clear. That's correct. If I'm understanding exactly what you say, can use base PP to clear plots. No bonuses allowed. Well, the one thing I'll say on that, I'm not understanding that question correctly. The food that you pay or the crystals is factored on your base PP, and then production bonuses are over and above that, if that's what you're talking about. Gathering goes on, clear your plot instantly with time crystals, but put just one BCX common on each plot, and you will earn part of the daily SPS pool. Not many people will do this at first, so the pool will be large. Oh, okay, so that's what Dwayne had done a show on. I'll have to go back and look at that. That's interesting. Yes, I understand. The idea will be that whenever the SPS flow cuts off to everybody and it goes to just people who are harvesting, or not harvesting, but mining SPS, it will be a much bigger pool to draw from if you're drawing from it. I do understand that. But I think, and yeah, if you have a lot of lands, I don't know exactly. I guess getting that land up and going, at least at a fraction of its usefulness, is better than it sitting there and doing nothing. Whether it's SBS is probably the best use case in that situation. I would agree. That's a good idea. I hadn't really thought about it because I don't have an overly excess amount of land. I've got 9 plots, plan on 10. I just plan on staking them all out, and then as time goes along, either improving the staking on those lands or using the profits to just buy a new land, a new plot here and there. You know, when we see the strategy, what's working, what's not working, etc. You know, I think this isn't something you're gonna set and forget. This is something that you're gonna have to look at probably on a daily basis. But that's called the land game. There have been other games kind of with a similar idea. I had somebody who replied to a video this week and was wondering what the point of the land game was. And I guess the best way I can explain it is there are a lot of games, not blockchain related games, but other games that are built around harvesting food off your land and minerals and materials, and taking that and repositioning different things as far as, you know, manpower and food and stuff like that. There are a lot of games that have this built into it. You know, this is just taking it a step further and adding the blockchain game to it, as far as possibly making money. Who knows? Not investment advice. You know how that goes. But there's going to be a lot of liquidity pools. Be careful. You know, some people are going to dive head first in. I'm really hesitant on liquidity pools, so we'll see how it works when it comes out. I do like the land game, the whole idea, though. That's why I've kind of probably spent more money than I should have on it. This is like the prices involved, the money involved in playing the land, quote unquote land game, has just really exploded over the last, I don't know, mainly 6 months. So we'll see. Okay, People's Guild says, oh snap, my time calculations are off then. No bonus PP on clearing time. I have to think about it and get back to you. First of all, I'm expecting to just use time crystals and not have to worry about clearing time. But whenever I did factor out my clearing times, I did not factor in bonuses just for that point there, because I didn't know how they were going to affect. The Chuny says, at Gathering the Magic, how many time crystals needed to completely clear a common plot? I'm pulling up, I did a spreadsheet. If you've watched some of my videos, you're probably familiar with the spreadsheet, but let's see here. So this is a common plot, and let's see here. So 15,000 DEC or 150 time crystals is needed for a common plot. So those are your numbers for a common. And then it just goes up from there. I'm just catching up. Sorry, I've been talking, catching up with chat. People's Guild, no. Farpatrod posted that in Discord, I think the land channel. People's Guild says natural common plots need 1.5 million PP. Yeah, 150 time crystals. Sorry, I brought that up before I saw that you had replied on that. Have to see how many came with the starter package. Well, 150, because I know I had one starter package with it. So 150 came with the starter package. So that's enough to clear one common plot. People's Guild says, I just unlocked my 12-hour claims on Golem Overlord. Nice getting a bonus multiplier and not having to try and claim 3 times a day. Yeah, I probably should go ahead and unlock that. I have not unlocked that yet. Yeah. It's not been on my... high on my list. What I have been doing is forcing myself to up my number of scavenger golems and dumping a lot into reputation. So I'm in prestige 2, almost up to be able to prestige 3. So that's where most of my part has been going. Scavenger golems, reputation, and I've also been upping my power a little bit. If you've been following me, you know I've been primarily a defensive build, but I have started attacking here and there. Not a whole lot, but let's see here. Yeah, and then everybody's just verifying the 150 time crystals. The Chuny says, can maybe trade the time crystals for a profit too? Are they tradable on day 1? I don't know, but I do know that anybody can burn DEC to get time crystals from their local castle. So it's not this is not a limited item. I don't know if you can trade them though. Oh, Gathering says they are. Time crystals and grain are going to be tradable. Gathering says, off to a family reunion. Take care all. Stay the course and keep on forging. Have a good time, Gathering. Mystic Force, hello. Thanks for dropping by. Alistios, thank you for dropping by. Good day. We are talking a lot of land stuff, but we can go into the notes on the town hall. We also were talking a little bit about Golem Overlord. Let's take a look at, I have not seen what SPS and DEC are doing today. They're DEC is kind of hanging in there, right? Around 0.8, and SPS it's a few days ago it was up, and it just keeps going down. But I think I fall into the category of I think that once land hits, everybody's starting to notice. I've been talking about it, but everybody's starting to notice exactly how much DEC they need. And I know the whole thing is about SPS, but I think and I hate using that word flywheel, right? But I think once people start getting all that DEC they need for their land, it's going to start forcing people to have to burn SPS, and that is what's going to start SPS going up. Okay, that's obviously not investment advice, but I don't see how it couldn't. If they're like, a lot of the videos come out this week, different other people talking about it. If you just even say that, I don't know, 20 to 25% of the people stake their land, or 20 to 25% of the land is staked. That is such a huge DEC number that we're going to blow through most of the DEC in the infrastructure, right? So that's why I wanted to go ahead and get mine early on. Listio says, basic offer and demand. The game is built to create more demand than there will ever be offering for. Can't go wrong. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's kind of when they were starting to get serious about engineering how land was going to work. And I'm talking about like in the fall last year to early this year. And then they started coming out with the details of the staking. Obviously, the way they're putting land out, this is engineered to drive SPS value. Well, it's engineered to drive the value of DEC up to stake, and then once that gets at stake level at $1 per 1,000 or over, then that kicks in the whole mechanism of burning SPS, which should keep DEC at 1,000, per dollar. And it should drive SPS up. So will it? It remains to be seen, but I just don't see any way around that. Now, as a secondary thing, it's also going to dry the market up of cards. Just think about it. I know there's a lot of high rollers out there that got a lot of cards in their collections, but I can tell you, just as a guy who's been trying to buy cards for my lands over the last couple months, the numbers have really dried up and the prices are going up. So there's that. The People's Guild says, after seeing some rough grain requirements, I'm guessing we'll only see 10% activated from the get-go. Reckon most folks have no idea how much grain DEC is actually going to be required. Yeah, I've done several videos. I've been trying to make people aware of it. I don't have a huge audience, but when I first sat down and read the white paper and I started to do the numbers, I think the first time I did the numbers, I only had like 3 or 4 plots, right? And I was just amazed at how fast the amount of DEC went up. For 10 plots, I need around 750,000 DEC, or 725 to 750, somewhere in there, just to stake out, the 50,000 per, plus the amount for time crystals to get it up and running, or for grain if I was going to work it, right? So, and that's just for 10 plots. Think about some people. I know several people here watching this show have much more than 10 plots. So I don't know. I've seen a lot of people that went in and bought like a whole region, but they're having to dump off a lot of plots because I don't think that they factored in how expensive it was going to be. And that's kind of a little side note that I wanted to bring up, because I'm always looking at plots. I see a lot of people dumping the canyons and the tundras because of that 5% difference. Now, that's an interesting kind of factor. I don't think it's going to be such a huge item, because in the future, when all those, when the 50 to 60 different materials are released, those canyons and tundras are going to have a specific item that you harvest on there, that if you dump all your canyons and tundras, maybe that item is going to be scarce. And the people that did take that 5% cut, I can see where they added an extra, they made these more flexible by saying, okay, on a canyon, you can use fire, death, or dragon. It's more flexible with card usage, But I think people are just mostly looking at that, well, I can't get my 10% bonus, right? But I think, and I bought a Tundra, and I'm thinking about buying another Canyon or a Tundra, that when it comes down to it, the items that are harvested on those two particular pieces of land, since they're not popular now, they're going to be needed at some point, right? Anyway, that's my logic. Alistio says, at the People's Guild, hey there, and yeah, definitely many people didn't take time to, as usual, like usual, to read the white paper and understanding what they're getting into. You know, that's an interesting point, Alistios, because when I first bought land, the white paper 1.5 hadn't been put out, but I went back and I've read it several times, but it's interesting. It's kind of like going back and watching a movie. Each time I read through, I'm kind of interested in focusing on like one or two items, and I kind of gloss over other items. So that's why I've kind of been doing a series of videos here and there about particular points within the white paper to kind of bring people's awareness about it. And I think people may have gotten tired of me putting out videos on the food and the time crystals and stuff, but I just wanted people to be aware how much it's going to cost to run land on a daily basis. And you're right, I don't think most people stopped and did the numbers. Hopefully, and I'm crossing my fingers, just like everything else with on the blockchain, you hope that this will end up to be worth it, right? Because just for 10 plots, I mean, I'm in the $1,500 range somewhere, in all things considered, right? So I hope that the amount of money that is, made, and I hope it's fun and everything. I hope it's not just tedious work, because I do enjoy this style of game. I just hope that ends up being fun and we end up making a little profit on it, right? So. The People's Guild says, hola, amigo, at Alistios. And yes, 100% nailed it, like usual. I'm thinking of Cryptomancer with 3 regions. Oh, yeah. I've been going around the board, just kind of like randomly looking at regions lately, trying to see where everybody's at, trying to see where everybody's sitting. And it's also on that whole point we've been talking about that I think I brought it up, but I think they originally brought it up on one of the town halls and talked about it, that you actually, a plot isn't a plot. It's like real estate in the real world. You can have a house in a good neighborhood. You can put that same house in a bad neighborhood and it's worth less, right? You want to be in a region that the people that own the castles and the keeps are staked out. They're working the land. A lot of people around you are working the land, are staked out. I don't think you want to be in a region where a lot of the land is sitting fallow or people are just buy, sell, flipping land around you. I think that'll be a detriment for you. So, and yeah, having 3 regions, I just don't know how. I just don't know how that's going to work. Obviously, Cryptomancer on the team, he probably has plenty of cards. It's still a lot of cards, even if you're on the team, right? And that's a lot of staking money. Probably be on the team. They probably got a bunch saved up, from over the years, but that's still a lot. So once that was another idea, and not just specifically Cryptomancer, but the people that bought whole regions, and I'm just thinking out loud here, do you want to go into a region where one person owns like 95% of it and is just like selling off common plots or something rather? Because you got to know that going into that region, you stand a good chance of some of the land, a decent portion of the land not being staked out, right? Whereas going into a region where a lot of different people own land around it, then they're probably going to stake out their land. Just thinking out, just ideas floating out of my head. And these are the things I think about when I'm scrolling through. Let's do a refresh. when I'm scrolling through these lands for sale. We're sitting at a $40. It's kind of been hovering around there for a while. It was below $40 a little bit, kind of $37-ish. The last 4 rare plots I bought last week or the week before, I was able to get at a good price, I think $55. They were rares though, and they had building in the box on them, so I felt like I got a good deal. But you can see that a lot of people are dumping these canyons and tundras. So there's this one guy. Look at all these tundras. I really think, and I'm not saying going ahead and going in and buying these, but I do have one tundra, and I've been thinking a lot about this. If the price comes down on some canyons and tundras, I wouldn't be adverse to going ahead and getting in on them. I do know that you're going to take that 5% hit, but I think in the end, whenever all the resources come out, people are still going to need the resources from canyons and tundras, whatever they end up producing. So if you get in on some of these, you might be one of the fewer people that have these more unpopular quote unquote lands. So Alistio says that 5% difference looks like a bad thing, but in the end they offer 3 types of splinters to put cards on them, and there's so much of those other colors used on everything else. Yeah, I completely agree, and I've been, this is one of those things that I've been thinking about. I can see why they went into it like that. They're like, oh, well, the percentage goes down, but it's more flexible, right? But like I said, in the end, we're still going to need, if you're producing something, you're probably going to need, there's going to be a need for whatever's produced on those lands. So, and since it's less percentage bonus, there's going to be less of that in the infrastructure. So say, for instance, tundras produce, I don't know, snow. I don't know, whatever the item is they produce. There's going to be 5% less on the whole than wood from a forest, right? So just thinking out loud. Alistio says, on my 16 lands, I need to run 11 them on grain just to feed the 5 others. Interesting. So we were kind of talking about this earlier, how the numbers are going to run, and yeah, I feel that you're going to need slightly more. You're going to have to. One land is not going to produce quite enough to feed 2 lands, so you're going to need to either have more land plots producing grain, or you're going to need to overstake. In other words, put better cards and or better totems or whatever else would get you a bonus onto your grain producing plots to bring that percentage up to compensate. So I plan on overstaking my grain producing lands, and possibly in some situations I hope to have enough totems to go around, but if I don't, the totems will definitely go on the grain producing lands first. So now that may change over time. Like I said, when we get to the point where there's going to be a certain point where the value of grain goes down because there's so many lands producing it and dumping it on the market, right? And at that point, everybody's got it. That's one of the decisions, right? That's kind of like a market-based buy, sell, trade kind of decision. It's in the end, it's a token. It's a token that everybody needs, right? There's a little bit of story work put behind it. Oh, it's food that you feed, but it's a token. And at a certain point, there's going to be this huge amount on the market, and then it may be cheaper to switch things around and have fewer of your lands producing food, and maybe mining SPS or doing the research, or when 2.0 comes out, mining, creating everything else, like chopping wood or whatever else there may be. And obviously when 2.0 comes out, I think you really want to be stacked with grain, because then you're going to have to make the decision of, well, should I take that forest and keep growing grain on it, or do I want to chop wood on it or whatever, So there's going to be even further huge amount of, the decisions we have to make here in 1.5 are pretty simple, compared to the decisions we're going to have to make in 2.0 and going forward. Alistios goes on to say, you can see a region where people are flipping as a great potential to slowly acquire the entire zone for yourself as your neighbors slowly get rid of their extra lands. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, if your game plan is to acquire large tracts of land. Every time I say that, I think of the Monty Python, Search for the Holy Grail. Huge tracts of land. Massive. But if that's your idea, yeah, it's great. My approach is going to be kind of even and slowly taking the profits and acquiring another plot here or there. I would like to acquire plots around kind of people I know in the game and people that I know are investing in the game and staking out. So I'm not adverse to spread myself out a little bit if I've got a reason to be in that region. I don't think I'm going to buy cheap plots just for the sake of cheap plots. Now, with that said, if I see plots in $25 range, that would be very tempting, right? So I don't know if I could resist that. In fact, it's common for me to look at the lands several times per day. I can't really do that when I'm at work, but when I'm working from home, I'm always checking the lands just to see if one pops up, right, that I want. So let's go ahead and try to catch up. Alistios goes on to say, not always a bad thing depending upon your long-term strategy. Yeah, basically what I just said. BB Omega, hope I said that right. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for dropping by. Says, Matt explicitly said several times that the mechanic will be done in a way that being in and not so active plot won't be detrimental. Rest is people speculating. Interesting. I'll have to go back and look that up because it was mentioned several times in earlier town halls that you're going to want to be in an area where it's active. So we'll see. But, there's a lot that goes into that because we also have the land surfing idea that will be implemented. They've talked about it, and they say it's, going to go in effect soon thereafter 1.5. So there may be, with land surfing going into effect, I could see myself not necessarily probably taking advantage of that and doing some land surfing around where I'm at. But the whole point is far less land will be laying fallow. There are people that just buy plots and they're just going to sit there, speculative, for future value, buy, sell, trade type thing. So, Supreme Victory Network, welcome to the show. Thanks for dropping by. Says or asks, do you know what is going to be produced on Swamplands? I do not. As far as I know, here a while back, they did put out a kind of list of production items, but I don't think that was in stone, and I don't think that, or I have not seen a list of them come out, but it might be interesting. The People's Guild, thanks for stopping by. Good night and have a good one. Have a happy weekend back at yourself. But yeah, that's another idea because swamps and bogs are also not very popular. However, it goes back to my idea that they are making the game and the things that will be produced in the end to require most of these things. Otherwise, why would they put them in the game, right? So that's my take, is people are kind of gravitating towards the more popular lands and gravitating away from canyons and tundras for the obvious 5 to 10% reason, but also swamps and bogs. It's like, who wants a swamp, But, and buying forests and mountains and things of that nature. But like I said, my main point is I think all these items that are produced on the land, whether it's a swamp, whether it's a forest, whatever it is, it's going to be needed in some way, shape, or form. And that goes back to my point that if fewer people are buying swamps and you buy swamps and it's producing whatever it produces, and maybe you have a higher percentage of it, and you higher percentage of the market, so you can maybe make a better profit off that. So, but I don't know what's going to be produced by a swamp. And yeah, Alistios goes on to say no one knows yet. Once the land got out on peak monsters, there have been a few days where we saw some of our land were having grain, wood, etc. next to them, but it was since then removed. I don't think spreading will be a good strategy due to the taxes and fees to move stuff around. Also, you need to consider that later we'll need buildings to store everything. Yeah, I agree, and I've been back there, but what I mean was each area I would go into, I would want to make sure I was self-sufficient, okay? And that's kind of why I sold off one of my plots, because it was on the other side of the map from where most of my plots are, right? Because, yeah, and I did a video on this, pointing this out. If you don't watch out, those taxes and transportation fees are going to burn you up. So the taxes are unavoidable. Obviously, just like in real life, we don't like taxes. I hope that the mechanic is, I hope that the mechanic's worth it for the people that are paying this high amount for castles and keeps. Let's just look at what keeps are going for. Wow. The cheapest keep you can buy is $2,000. The cheapest castle you can buy is almost $20,000, which is crazy. So, and obviously the game team is not in charge of the secondary market. The market's going to market, right? But that's just insane to think, in my mind, to think about putting $20,000 to, look at this. This is on a mountain, $75,000 US. That's such an investment that, and to me, a lot of the takeaway is the profit's going to be in the taxes, right? So it remains to be seen, and I'm sure that if something about the whole process, the whole mechanic ends up being broken, I'm sure that they'll take and change it. But right off the bat, maybe owning a castle or keep, you're going to get this huge amount. But it may work the other way. They may find that it's not so great, so who knows. But yeah, I do agree that you're going to really have to watch the whole transportation. That's why I've devised where my plots are. I'm going to have 2 different regions, possibly a third region, but I'm going to be self-sufficient in those regions. So I'm going to be producing enough grain and whatever for whatever I'm producing. So, and if I go into a region, another thought process is I may just produce grain, sell grain, store grain when that comes out, right? So, Supreme Victory Network says, I have a beautiful swamp. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have a swamp as well, or a bog. I have a bog. But yes, my bog is lovely. You should come over sometime. Let's see. Alistios says, pretty much once the 50 resources will be live, the land game will be similar to playing EVE Online, where people will calculate everything based on how much it costs them to produce, and price will go accordingly. Big trade games where bots will run day in, day out to buy and sell deals. Yeah, that's what a lot of that's going to come down to. I'm sure that one of the botting services will probably create a bot service, whereas kind of like the Archmage type service for playing, I'm sure there'll be a service available for landowners at some point to, buy, sell, trade, set, basically like playing the stock market on a daily basis, where you can set your trades and set your limits and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily so into that, but yeah, it would be a way to make a profit, and I'll probably, at the beginning just be doing everything. I'm not approaching this from the standpoint of being one of those people that want to accumulate everything so that I can produce things. Now, going forward, when 2.0 and whatever comes after that, and they eventually make it so you can create stuff by combining the resources, I might be into that, but I'll have to see. You know, a lot of this comes down to how much more money they want out of me. I don't know if that's saying right, but at this point, I feel like the price to run a land is so high that I'm just wondering if they implement other mechanisms going forward, how much more can they ask of a person to play the land game, so to speak, before they start shooting themselves in the foot and losing people because the price is just too high? Just throwing that question out there, right? Gina B, thanks for stopping by. Swamps produce wood, I believe. Hawks21 put a video out on what all the lands produce. Yeah, like I said, here a while back, there was a list that was circulating, but, and I'm sure that list probably still applies, but it wasn't 100%. And obviously, until it actually comes out, we won't know. So once it comes out, then we'll know for sure. Alistio says, I mean, every market are botted heavily, both on stock and crypto market, and same in every MMORPG ever created. There is always some tech-savvy guy to have their bots run 24/7 to buy and sell. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, I can remember in World of Warcraft in the early days running a trading bot. So it wasn't automatic, but it was such that it referenced the back end and kept a history of all the sells and trades, so it give me a better idea of what to input stuff at. So it wasn't an automated bot, but it was more like a card play helper today, you know. But this was an auction helper. But that will be a lot of fun. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of people that enjoy the process of just like getting something working, right? Creating a bot or taking a bot somebody else has created for a different purpose, getting it up and running. Just like you mentioned, it's possible that you could take a bot that was made for stock trading and kind of implement it with the different resource trading. Obviously, there'd be a lot on the back end you'd have to change, and the interfacing with the blockchains and stuff, obviously it's over and above my head. I would love to be that smart. I'm not. But sounds like Yixon and Golem Overlord. Don't know if he's interested in that, but smart guy. Alex Bernard, thanks for dropping by. Thanks. Yay, I got live. Well, you said yay, I got liver, but were you having a problem? He says, look at the totems. I got 15 now. They're like 25. That's one thing that I was noticing this week. I had talked about it on one of my videos. I was talking about it with my brother. I noticed the price of totems had shot up. Let's go to the market and go to other items. And look at the common totems are sitting around 24. Now, earlier this week, they were up around $27, $28. Now, I will tell you this. When you see these here, also don't forget to check the Hive Engine price because it may be different. For instance, let's go. Just go into totems here. So the totems here are $23.29. So it's about the same, but I will give you a for instance, like earlier this week when I bought my totems, they were sitting at $28 here, and on Hive Engine they were still at $20. So I bought them on Hive Engine for the lesser amount. Not too much difference now, and I'm sure there was some people taking advantage of that and trying to flip it and make $5, but I'm still in the situation where I want to get a few more totems. So, and I haven't, I'm only considering common totems because I don't think that the rares are worth the, so a common totem gets you 10%, a rare totem gets you 20%. Is that worth more than four times the price, whatever it is, 3-4 times the price, So I haven't bought any rare totems. I would like to be able to stick a common totem on each one though. So let's see here. Alistio says, making money from buying, selling, and crafting are the most fun part for me in most games, and I play, so I can't wait for land. Yeah, I agree, because I have fun in other games. And think about all the games we've played over the years. I don't know how old you are, but I've been playing MMOs since there have been MMOs, basically. And in a large part, most of them have some portion of this trade mechanic. Buy, skill up, create something, harvest, create something, and then resell that or trade it for something or other like that. Most games have a portion of that in it. But we were just using our time and just enjoying. Right now, there's a possibility of making a little money on it. There have been other games that have done this, whereas you can make real money on it, but not blockchain related. So it remains to be seen. And obviously, I don't want to put too much hope into it. Right? I'm not one of those guys that's like, yeah. I'm like, always only put the money in you can afford to lose, and at least get some enjoyment out of it. So I enjoy that type of game, and like I said, I've made the decision a couple months ago, that I was largely not making much money, and I'm making much less out of playing the game, even though I've put thousands of dollars into cards with recent changes. So I just went towards land, and I started putting my money in cards on land. So that's the direction I'm going, and hopefully it works out. Licio says, I'm 40, so I played them all. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm a little bit older than you, though. So, yeah. So we're rounding out, coming down to the half hour. If anybody has some last words or last questions they want to talk about, go ahead and throw them in chat, and we'll wrap up. Yeah, you bring up Entropia, Alistios. That's what I was thinking about, but I couldn't remember the name of it. You say that it was great back then, but the paying system was bad and not worth our time, and the game was a big MMO casino. Yeah, I remember getting into that because people were FOMOing into it, and then when I started seeing how much money was being charged for common items and stuff, I was like, yeah, I don't really want to do this, So you guys are in your 40s. I am 53. So not afraid of saying that. Got the gray beard to prove it. Project Entropia not turned Entropia Universe. Yeah. I kind of followed that. I did make an account at one point, but when I started seeing how much money was required, I was that threw up my red lights and sirens, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Supreme Victory Network says, like button smashing. Okay. Well, everybody, thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it. I'm going to mention this before I log off. I've got a new idea. I was thinking about. I've been doing a lot of talking about land and such, but I do want to get better at playing the game. So I had this thought process going, whereas I want to start having people submit your favorite battle to me, send it in an email, and not just, the point isn't just that you won or maybe pulled off this miraculous victory. I'm mainly looking at strategy. So the whole idea is if you submit a battle to me, take a battle that you had a strategy, a specific strategy with a card or two or something you put together, and it worked out exactly how you planned it. And I'll put out a little video on this, but I would appreciate everybody, if it's not a good idea, maybe it doesn't work out, I only do it a few times. But I think it's good from a strategy standpoint, and it's something that I haven't done a lot of concentration on. And the whole point would be for myself to get better, and for everybody that populates my channel to get better as well, because I think more information is better than none. You could put in stuff like, okay, I used this and this card, and it was in this situation, this was the style match it was, and this is how it worked. doesn't have to be some huge long explanation, but just a basic explanation of why you used it and how it worked out. And then I think I'm going to start doing like one video a week where I have a featured strategy and then feature the person's video and explain it like they explained it and then give my thoughts on it. So I'm going to put out a little video about that, and I'm going to put out an email that you can send it to. So I think it'd be something fun. And you know, as a creator, I'm always continually trying to come up with ideas. And sometimes you get in a rut and you can't come up with ideas. And you know, I've been focused on land for so much, and you know, there's a lot of people that are tired of talking about land. So I figured I'd go back to card play. And even though I'm not doing it a lot, I am still doing my guild brawls and everything, and obviously I want to improve for that. So just an idea I had. So we'll wrap up with let's see, Alistio says $40 bank fee to withdraw and about 8 to 12 months waiting. It was bad. Yeah, as far as Entropia. Yeah, I remember looking at that, and I didn't remember any specifics, but I remember a lot of red lights going off in my brain going like, yeah, I'm not doing this. Yeah, and Alex, as far as prestige, I do agree, and I have been doing that over the last 2 weeks. My focus really has been on dumping a lot into reputation and also in getting my scavenger golems and my banked up. I was slow in the upkeep on upping my scavenger golems, so I've been trying to catch up. Alessio says, you guys got a Discord. I do have a Discord. I don't use it that much, though. I can send you an invite after this, so just check out for it. It's called Bronze Dragon. So I'll send you an invite. We don't use a whole lot, but it would be nice to you know, discuss and everything and throw things up in there. So I do attend the various Discords of the other games and such, and I try to keep up, especially with the Splinterlands, with what people are talking about. But you know, there's only so many hours in the day, and I miss some stuff. So I will say that I do appreciate everybody dropping by, and hope everybody on your side is doing well, and I will catch you on the flip side.